Good afternoon, everyone. Happy 4th. Happy Independence Day. USA, baby. I got Kurt Angle's 2001 SummerSlam shirt on here for a reason. You know why? Oh, it's true. It's damn true. So, cheers. Happy 4th. Some ice cold Jaeger at noon. And a happy birthday to my Uncle Paul Lavallo. One of the most genuine, giving people I know. Uncle Paul, I love you, and happy birthday. It was also 2 years ago today that I met the love of my life, my girlfriend, my roommate, my partner in crime, Ashlyn Rose McCorry. And she's just right over here right now. You gonna come say hi? No, you sure? Come on. No? Okay. She's got her Jamieson shirt on, just chilling, watching Law and Order on mute. We're gonna hang out today. But happy 4th. Got a great subject today. Before I get into that, today in music, fact of the day. So today in music, in 1910, July the 4th, there's a song called America the Beautiful that was published. One of our great American tracks in history. And you may have not known that the music to that song and the words and the lyrics to that song were two totally separate entities, written in different decades. And they were combined and published in 1910. So it started with the fella, America the Beautiful, started with a fella named Samuel A. Ward. He was a choir master at an Episcopal church in Newark, New Jersey. And he wrote a song, the composition. He wrote the music to America the Beautiful. He wrote it as a song called Materna. Materna was written in 1882. So there he was, Samuel A. Ward, an organ instrumentalist and a choir master. He wrote the music to America the Beautiful. And it was 11 years later that Catherine Lee Bates, an English professor in Massachusetts, she went on a little escapade with other fellow professors from around the country to Colorado Springs, Colorado, where they taught a few sessions at Colorado State College. And they went on a hike up to Pikes Peak. One of the professors that was with her at the time was a future president, Woodrow Wilson. So Catherine Lee Bates, Woodrow Wilson, and a few others go hiking up one of the highest points in the Rocky Mountains, Pikes Peak, and she was a poet too. And they went in a covered wagon up and up the hill. And she wrote some of the lyrics. She started writing the lyrics. This is in 1893. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. That was her in 1893. So she came back home to Massachusetts with all these lyrics. The music was from Samuel A. Ward the decade previous, published in 1910. And there's our song. So pretty cool fun fact there. Foo Fighters came out with their debut record in 1995. Self-titled debut record. Dave Grohl, former drummer of Nirvana, he wrote the drums, the lyrics, and the guitar for the entire record. And here's some of the tracks. One of the few Foo Fighters records that I own. But Kurt Cobain, he died in April of 94, and it was October of 94. October that year that Dave got working on this. He performed with Tom Petty on Saturday Night Live. He was offered a job over the phone from Tom Petty to be the drummer for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And Dave Grohl said that was the toughest decision he ever had to make. He slept on it and he said no. And he wanted to do his own thing. The Foo Fighters are one of the biggest stadium-selling rock bands in the land. God bless them. Self-titled record. And it was recorded in Seattle as well. R.I.P. Kurt. So also, Ozzy and Sharon married today, July the 4th in 1982. Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon. Sharon has managed Ozzy for most of his career. I think there's a website I check out a lot called blabbermouth.net, and there's always some funny comments whenever Sharon Osbourne gets brought up. Sharon, they call her Sauron with a $sign, SAURON, little note to Lord of the Rings. She's a feisty personality in the music industry, so fans have fun with that. Anywho, they've been through a lot. God bless them. Post-Malone is 25 years old today. Post-Malone, and I think that's a really good example to not judge a book by its cover. Here's a guy with auto-tune vocals, tattoos on his face, always tired. It's one of his tattoos, and I didn't know much about him. He collaborated with an Ozzy song earlier this year, came out on Ozzy's record, "Ordinary Man," and he during quarantine recorded a Nirvana performance with Travis Barker of Blink-182, and they performed a bunch of Nirvana songs, and they absolutely killed it. I really liked what I saw there. From Negative Creep to Drain You to, I think he opened with Francis Farmer, We'll Have Her Revenge on Seattle off In Utero. I'm going to include a link to that performance. It's fucking sick, and you got to check it out. So, not judging a book by its cover. Very key. So, today's quote is from Abe Lincoln, my personal favorite president of the United States of America, 16th president of our fine, great, mighty country. And I knew some quotes in my head from Abe Lincoln because Dale Carnegie, as I mentioned with my conversations with my dad, I was really born and raised on those Dale Carnegie principles and quotes. And I was given an Abe Lincoln book in that class. And I wanted to go with a different way with some of the quotes, but the one that I kept thinking about and the one that has the most upticks on Google is the following. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. So Abe Lincoln on happiness. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. God bless America. Today's topic, I'm going into the most, I had some ideas to discuss today, being that Saturday, today is July the 4th, and Saturday, October 31st, it's going to be Halloween, so we'll have a cool Halloween episode. But what was my most American moment that I experienced at a concert? I've had a few really good ones, but it involved the band GODSMACK. In the year, as I Asked No One, Kevin Ray Lavello, this is the 11th episode, we're going back to 2011. 2011, July, I saw this. Disturbed, Godsmack, Megadeth, In Flames, Trivium, All Shall Perish. Boom. They forgot my ID. I don't know. But there you go. That's the ticket. This is my bracelet that I wore that one night. Front, center, rail, rockin'. Amazing. I'll get to Godsmack in that moment that really happened at that concert, but just to start with All Shall Perish, lead singer Eddie Hermida. He was later hired as the frontman for Suicide Silence later on. Really cool performance. I caught a pick at that show. It's All Shall Perish pick. FTW. I'll have to find out what that means. Bitchin'. One of the guitarists used this, handed it off to me. Yeah. All Shall Perish. And then it went over to Trivium. Trivium, I met in the pit in Germany in 2014. Story for a different time. But Trivium, they're out of Florida. My alma mater state. I went to school at Flagler College, St. Augustine, Florida. They always put on a great show. They're kids. They've been performing since '06 as teenagers, opening for Metallica overseas, just like sevenfold. So, love it. And then up next was Megadeth. Megadeth. Trivium opened up with In Waves. They're on the In Waves record, and that's one of my favorite Trivium songs. So In Waves, In Waves. And then Megadeth came on afterwards. Opened up with probably my favorite Megadeth song. Yeah, Trust, off the Cryptic Writings record. Number 2 would probably be Wake Up Dad off Peace Cells. Open up with Trust. Megadeth is one of the big 4 in thrash metal, as I mentioned before. There's Anthrax, Megadeth, Slayer, the almighty Metallica. Megadeth, Dave Mustaine, singer, guitarist, he was originally in Metallica. He was fired before Metallica recorded the first record, Kill 'Em All, in '83. Unfortunately, he's held that against Metallica for pretty much his entire career. But fucking Megadeth, man, they're one of the great metal bands ever. And Dave Mustaine being up there, Chris Broderick. I have a Chris Broderick pick right here. They're on the Endgame record. Chris Broderick no longer in the band, but I remember Chris Broderick standing right there in front of me. And just really good guitarist, man. He just looked like a born guitarist. And again, front row center, Darien Lake, about 45 minutes east of Buffalo, New York here. And I remember, the kind of show where I didn't get in line way early and rush the front. I pretty much showed up after maybe working 2011. So let's see. Yeah, Geico. So I got out of Geico and I shot right over. I got out of Geico earlier around 3, 4 o'clock. And I shot over and I just waltzed up front. It was really seamless, really easy. Megadeth, all hell Megadeth. I want a separate episode. They deserve a separate episode, their own episode. So Megadeth. And after Megadeth was Godsmack, which brings me to today's topic. What was my most American moment that I've ever had at a concert? Osama bin Laden, he passed away. He got killed May the 2nd, 2011. So it was about a little over 2 months before this concert. And Godsmack, I have a history with them. I've seen them over 10 times, a lot of times at Darien Lake. And they open up with Crying Like a Bitch, which from a drummer's point of view, that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, it's just Shannon Larkin's one of my all-time favorite drummers. I have a cymbal right here, which I just come over here and I hit it like that for just dramatic effect. That's Shannon Larkin right there, just over there. But that moment after not Creeping Death would have been cool. After Crying Like a Bitch, they played a song called The Enemy, which is off of my favorite Godsmack record, 4. It's their 4th record that came out in 2006. But here we are in 2011. Osama bin Laden, dead. May the 2nd, 2011. God bless America. Justice served. Justice is lost. Justice is raped. Justice is done, man. And right before they broke into The Enemy, Sully said something along the lines of, "Here's to that cocksucker we got in the Middle East. Fuck that motherfucker. This song's called The Enemy." So it broke right into The Enemy. And I don't know, I lifted out of my skin, bones and shit. I was just like, so that, I remember being down here, looking up at Sully and just seeing the excitement in his eyes at song 2, the first song of the set just finished. Here comes the second song. He's bringing up Osama bin Laden's death a few months prior. I mean, I get the goosebumps thinking about it. And my God, that was just a beautiful moment. Beautiful time in our country. So when I think of the most American moment, man, that is, I'm not into politics. I'm into survival. That's a quote from The Running Man, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not really into politics, but when that happened, it was huge for me. I have friends in the service. be lieutenant officer in the United States Air Force, Jason Carr. My grandfather, Papa Leonard Santo Lavello, he served our country in Iwo Jima. He got a Purple Heart, got shot in the ass in service. Papa Joe Ray on my mother's side, Joe Ray. He served in the Korean War. Before my current, I'm in real estate now, so before I got into real estate, I was seriously considering joining the United States Air Force. I got pretty far in the process. Ultimately realized at this point in my life, it's not for me. I haven't until I'm 40, 39 actually, but at this point, it's not for me. It made me realize the sacrifice that a lot of servicemen and women do for our country. It is a commitment. And, I was just on a jog around Delaware Park recently, and I saw a very old fella walking, and he had his Korean War hat on. And, it was the other day, and Ashlyn remembers when I got home from that run, I was really, really just gassed, struggling. It was hot out there, man. But I stopped in my I don't usually stop, unless it's for a red light, but I stopped. And I mentioned my Papa Joe Ray to this fella. He didn't really hear me at first, so I got up a little closer, sweaty off my ass, shirtless, whatever. And I thanked him for his service. I didn't get too close, though. 6 feet, right? I thanked him for his service, and there was something about that time that when he actually heard me and I left, my Papa Joe, he used to hang out at Delaware Park a lot. So I felt that his presence, and I really, instead of stopping because I was so just tired from the heat and everything, I kept going. I stayed focused, and I finished. I got back here, and I thought about you, the 9 of us that are watching right now, and how I'm going to present this kind of thing. But when Sully put the middle finger up and mentioned that cocksucker in the Middle East, that was it really hit right here. So to Dave, to Jason, to my grandfathers, to all those, thank you very much. After Godsmack, there was a band called Disturbed that headlined. Disturbed is one of the very few bands that it's the only band that I could say that I've been there since the beginning. They came out with their debut record, The Sickness, in the year 2000. They were to celebrate that this year for a 20th anniversary. I had a meet and greet all set up, which, it's going to be postponed to 2021. I can't wait to meet them in person. I've got stories about Disturbed, but, I love Disturbed so much. I recently ordered some of their singles from back in the day. Voices. Voices opened the record, and some Voices singles for you. Sweet. Got some live tracks on there too. You hear the angst in his voice, David Draymond. And then I also got the Remember. I know Bob Sudzik and we really like to play the Remember songs. So there's some Remember singles from your authentic, real, right back from the day. So Disturbed, been there since the beginning. And they opened up with Remnant Asylum, with the Asylum record. And after that performance, they gave it a 4-year break, actually, 4-year break until they came out with their next record, Immortalized. This is one of my most valuable guitar picks that I've ever caught at a show. One of my most valuable, memorable guitar picks, and it was Disturbed. Dan Dunnigan, the guitarist, is one of my all-time favorite guitarists. Not because I've been there since the beginning, but this guy, his crunch, the timeless, the memories of the music. Dan Dunnigan, Down with the Sickness pick. He played Down with the Sickness for about 16,000 people strong with this guitar pick. I haven't touched it since 2011. This will be the last time I touch it until I put it behind glass. But here you go. Can't wait to meet him in person. We've exchanged a lot over the years. Got the Asylum on it. Just Down with the Sickness stuff. Oh, that's the best one I got. There you go. That's Down with the Sickness. And they also played the Sickness medley, which was sick. They combined Fear, Meaning of Life, Numb, and Voices into a medley. And for a Sickness kid like me, you know, the band Disturbed, they named it Disturbed because of how underground some of these heavy noises and sounds are. You know, we're all disturbed, right? If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. Thanks a lot. So that was really cool to see that. Amazing night of music, Darien Lake, memorable spot. If ever you're in the Western New York area, come join me for some heaviness there next year. But after that, just the drive home, I got some muddy taco like you usually do after Darien Lake. And let's see. I think that's all I pretty much remember from that show. Walking back to my car with that guitar pick, the American kind of sentiments, amazing shit. But I'm going to bring the quote. I'm going to bring this quote back, the Abe Lincoln quote that I had mentioned to you earlier on. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. And it's so true, especially today. Before I leave you here, this is the most political I will ever get on this here show. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. Treat others with respect. Be kind to one another. Life is short. In my opinion, I feel like racism will never end. I've been around the world. I was a minority in Los Angeles working out there. Racism is everywhere. Blacks on blacks, whites on whites, whites, blacks, whites, blacks, Asians, Hispanics, blacks. It's all there. It's always there. That's just something I've noticed in my travels. So let's try and agree to disagree and treat others with respect. And just think for yourself. You know, I've really hit a stride of the most happy I've been in a long time. I think this quarantine has done more good for me than bad. I mean, what's going on is nuts with everything, but you live your own life. I ask no one. You live your own life. And when you look in the mirror and that person's looking back at you, how do you feel about that? So treat others with respect. God bless America. And next week, I'm going to go into the time ahead, beers with Limp Bizkit. That one's for you, Mark McCauley. That is some good shit right there. I had beers with Limp Bizkit, man. So stay tuned for that. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay hungry, stay heavy. I love you and have a great weekend. See ya.